Yo, what is up, you guys? Barokoshama here with another Elemental Shaman video, coaching video to be specific. Noeasgaard submitted a video to me not too long ago, and it is a very tough one for me to do, but it's going to help out a lot of people because it is a Frostquake submission. Not only that, but Noeasgaard has also created a Tell Me When script to help new players and advanced players figure out the build, try and do their rotation as accurate as possible. Now, this video is not only helping the people figure out and help understand Frostquake a little more, but it's also helping Noeasgaard condition his add-on even further to be more accurate to what the actual rotation is going to be of this build. Now, it is a very fast-paced, conditional build where things can flip on a dime in a second, and you have to start using different abilities in conjunction with what's going on and how your procs are acting and what timers you have left on your stacks of either Ice Fury or Stormkeeper or Power of the Maelstrom. If you have Earthquakes activated, if you have Maelstrom at certain levels, there's so many conditions that are going out, and it's very hard to play this build optimally, but with the right information, I'm sure you guys would be able to figure it out. So we're gonna go ahead and start this video. Oh, I'm not even tabbed into it. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and start this video. He's using Crit Food, he has a Defiled Augment on, and he's obviously using the Flask of the Whispered Pact. He's got Tier Helmet, Argus Necklace, Legio Shoulders, Tier Cloak and Chest, Ace Versatility Bracers, Acrid, Unstable Arcano, those rings, Deceiver's Blood Pack, Lego Boots, Tier Pants, Versatility Mastery, Belt, and what was your gloves? Flipping the laundry still on? Okay. Thanks. Right. Whatever. I'm gonna keep it in, I don't care. It's a one take. There's the talents. This is the Frostquake. So you guys saw that he's using Shoulders, Boots, and Ice Fury Gamble build talents, but the build itself is like way crazier. All right, pull timer. Lust, Lava Burst, Ice Fury, Flame Shock, Lava Burst, 2 Frost Shocks, good. All right, stop. Your opener's wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, you had enough Maelstrom to get rid of more Frostquake or Frost Shocks without using your Stormkeeper stacks. You had a huge amount of time left over on your Stormkeeper in order to fish for Power of the Maelstrom procs. You had Lava Burst charge here, and then you decided to use these Lightning Bolts. Don't do that. Your entire opener revolves around you trying to fish for Power of the Maelstrom in order to deal the most damage with your Lightning Bolt Stormkeeper stacks. So because you have enough Maelstrom here, you could have gotten out your last 2 Frost Shocks to kind of like buy time, I guess, for your Lava Burst to come off cooldown or to even proc a Lava Surge. It's so conditional, right? You want to max out as much as you can with your damage, and because you don't have Earth and Rage stacks here to buff up your Frost Shocks, you're gonna have to put them out there like cold turkey, the normal Frost Shocks, and that's fine, but conditionally you want to be able to cast these Lightning Bolts with Power of the Maelstrom buffing it. Okay, another thing, you decided to Earth Shock here while you had Elemental Blast off cooldown, and that could have been avoided as well. Like, Elemental Blast is also used to buy time, but you gotta use it on cooldown and before you use any of your hard-hitting spells, because you're gonna be able to buff those hard-hitting spells. Alright, let's see. There's an Earthquake proc. Lightning Bolt, Ele Blast. Did you use your Earthquake without an Earth and Rage stack? Wait. How did it go from 7 seconds to 8 seconds? You just missed an entire Earthquake stack. That's not good at all. So let me see, what else could you have done here? You had Elemental Blast coming off cooldown. You have an Earthquake stack up. You have Lava Burst coming off at cooldown. Okay, here's where I'm going to pause and tell you what you need to do here. It tells you to go Elemental Blast here. Okay, so you're telling me when is correct, right? After that Elemental Blast, you should have Lava Burst and then used a Lightning Bolt for the travel time of that Lava Burst to give you Earth and Rage. Instead, it's telling you, it even told you to Earthquake there because you were at higher Maelstrom, and then you decided not to listen to your own TMW, but instead decided to Earthshock and then reset your Earthquake buff. So you could have casted that Lava Burst, even though you're at higher Maelstrom. That's fine, because you're buffing a hard-hitting spell like Earthquake with Earth and Rage. Buff that Earthquake, get it out, then Earthshock, and then you would have had another Earthquake on top of that. So you're losing out on a lot of damage here, in fact. Okay, here's another thing. You're not really listening to your TMW when it actually is correct, and that's fine here because your Ice Fury is coming off cooldown. So what I would have done in this situation, because you have low amounts of Maelstrom, I would have casted Ice Fury into the Lava Burst, into like a flame or a Frost Shock for the travel time of that Lava Burst to then buff that Earthquake. So what did you use there? You used Earth Shock? Why did you... Okay, now I understand. That's where that Earth Shock comes from, but then you Earth Shock again. For what reason? I don't understand. You were already at low Maelstrom, so that didn't make any sense. It might have been a Fat Finger. Okay, it's a Fat Finger? Alright, that makes more sense. Alright, so in this situation here, try not to Fat Finger, obviously, but sometimes you can't help that. Your brain kind of farts and then you press a different button. Let's go with Ice Fury here into a Flame Shock, but instead you cast a Lightning Bolt. Why did I say Flame Shock? Into a Lava Burst. Your Flame Shock's coming off cooldown too, so you have to keep an eye on that. Do you have any power or elemental focus buffs here? No. So, geez, this is a very skewed thing. What I would have done here, you still have 8 seconds left on your Flame Shock, right? Look for those elemental focus buffs. See if you can also refresh your Flame Shock here. But your priority in this instance is not to Lightning Bolt. It's to put your Ice Fury on cooldown. Your Ice Fury should always be coming up at around the same time as your Stormkeeper. So if those are out of sync with each other, you know already that you've been doing your priority of spells wrong. The whole point of the Ice Fury, or Frostquake build, is to be putting all of your short cooldown spells on cooldown and then managing the stacks and procs successfully. So Ice Fury here into a Lava Burst. Hopefully you get, I don't know, an elemental focus from the Ice Fury so that you can use the GCD from your Flame Shock refresh for the travel time of that Lava Burst, and then use the Earth and Rage from the Lava Burst to buff the Earthquake here. If you didn't get the GCD for the Flame Shock, then use it with a Frost Shock. So you have an Earth and Strength here. You shouldn't have casted that Lava Burst before the Ice Fury, because you need to be putting this on cooldown before everything else. Because in this case, yes, getting that buff on the Earthquake is very valuable and a very high priority, but it has a timer on it for a reason, right? So you can still be putting your things on cooldown, like your Ice Fury and your Stormkeeper, in preparation for those spells, but pay attention to your cooldowns a lot more. Pay attention to their timers so that you can weave these spells in. There's the Earthquake. How long did it take you to do that? Okay, you put it down. Do you have an elemental focus? You do. Okay. Do you have a tracker for your elemental focus? I don't see it. I think you should add one in here. Add a tracker for elemental focus so that you can make better decisions based off of that itself. Then you Flame Shock. That Flame Shock has elemental focus. Okay, in this case here, let me see. In this case here, because you have like 5 seconds left here, yeah, getting rid of those 3 stacks because it's going to take you several GCDs to get rid of those before the timer runs out. You did a good job in there. I'm really glad that you decided to do that instead of start using your lightning bolts to get rid of Power of the Maelstrom. But that's a condition that is very good with your TMW already. A lot of people will be like, oh, Power of the Maelstrom is still a priority if I have, like, I don't know, a Lava Burst to cast, right? But paying attention to your timers on your stacks is even more important in that situation, because if you run out of your stacks, or if you, like, your timer drops off before you've gotten all of your stacks, that's wasted damage. So you did a really good job at managing your stacks there and understanding exactly what you needed to do in that time frame. In this situation here, I don't agree with you casting Lightning Bolt when you have a 2-stack of Lava Burst, and one of those is an instant cast spell. You only have a 15% chance for your Lava Burst to give you the elemental, or sorry, the Power of the Maelstrom buff. In this situation, keeping your Lava Burst on cooldown is more important than putting out your Power of the Maelstrom Lightning Bolts here, okay? So keep your Lava Burst on cooldown. Yeah, you decide to do all 3 of these here when your Tell Me When was actually telling you to do the right thing and get rid of your Lava Burst. Even though you got a Power of the Maelstrom there from that Lava Burst cast, I still think that the time of your Lava Burst not being on cooldown is more important than you're casting all 3 of those lightning bolts. If you want to get 1 or 2 out before you cast that Lava Burst, that's your decision. And I would actually abide that you get like 1 out to hopefully not waste as many stacks of those. But like you did like 6 seconds of casting lightning bolt, and then you just wasted 6 seconds of possible Lava Burst charge or Lava Burst CD time. Like in this situation here, you have Lava Burst. You did this right. Like this is a perfect situation where you should be casting these Lightning Bolts instead of Lava Burst, because your Lava Burst has 1 stack, but it's on cooldown. Then you get rid of all 3 of those Lightning Bolt stacks for Power of the Maelstrom, and then cast a Lava Burst, and then it's still on cooldown. That's fantastic. You did that correct. Did you just cast 2 Lava Bursts back to back without casting Ice Fury? So you wasted Earth and Strength. So Ice Fury is off cooldown here. You have 1 stack of Lava Burst available, and it's an instant cast. But then you decide to use that. So you wasted a whole stack of Earth and Rage that could have been used on 2 Frost Shocks. Okay, this is another mistake that I'm seeing. I'm really sorry. I'm just roasting you so much right now, but it's like, if I don't tell you, you're not going to be able to fix your gameplay, but also fix the TMW. Okay, so Lava Burst is here. You have... Let me go back. Let me just go back to this instance here. Keeping your things on cooldown. That's perfect. Why did it just jump? Oh, I see. Am I in the wrong spot? I'm in the wrong spot. Okay. We have to go back. Stormkeeper, you've casted that on cooldown. Perfect. That's fantastic. You also have Power of the Maelstrom stacks. Great. So you're using your Stormkeeper here. I didn't see this before, so I thought I was like I thought I was gonna totally roast you on this. I thought you were using lightning bolts for no reason without Power of the Maelstrom. So that's fine. Using your lightning bolts here right after that just to get rid of it, that's fine. You did good. You Earth Shock there, you got an Earthquake. That's great. You have Lava Burst available and Elemental Blast. That's great. You're using Elemental Blast in conjunction. Right after this, I want to be able to see Ice Fury, because you have 9 seconds on your Earthquake. You don't need to be casting that Lava Burst yet. Get your shit on cooldown. Get Ice Fury on cooldown here, then manage your stacks appropriately. So you cast Elemental Blast. You cast Lava Burst instead of Ice Fury here, so your Ice Fury is still on cooldown. Your Flame Shock is also getting put on cooldown, but then you decide to Earthquake right after this without an Earth and Strength. So that's unfortunately a mistake. What I would have done here, okay, is I would have paid attention to my Flame Shock timer a little more before I started casting Elemental Blast. You already have, I can see it up here, you have an Elemental Focus buff available for you. Put that on Flame Shock. Get that Flame Shock going, fully buffed. You still have a second left on your Elemental Blast. 3 seconds here. Right from this get-go, you should have realized that you had 7 seconds left on your Flame Shock, and then an Elemental Focus buff. Refresh it. Get it out of the way so it doesn't bite you in the ass. Okay? And then you have Elemental Blast coming off cooldown and Ice Fury. So that's what I would have done there. You Earth Shock there instead, which is... that's fine, but you had an Elemental Focus buff to get rid of. You're at 93 Maelstrom. I would have Flame Shocked here. You still have enough Maelstrom to Earth Shock afterwards. Especially because, like, you're gaining Maelstrom here as well with your Ice Fury and your Lava Burst coming up. Like, so let's give you a situation for what I just said. So in the case that you did what I would have done, which is refresh Flame Shock here instead of Earth Shock, you still would have had Maelstrom. You wouldn't have gotten that Earthquake buff, so that's not there, right? But you Flame Shocked, which bought time with the GCD to then Elemental Blast, and then buff that Earth Shock right after the Elemental Blast. Does that make more sense? So Flame Shock should have had more priority there, especially since you had Elemental Focus and it was less than 9 seconds on the duration of the Flame Shock. And then you would have pressed Elemental Blast to buff your Earth Shock. You would have had Maelstrom gaining potential for your Frost Shocks through your last stack of Ice, or through your last stack of Stormkeeper, and the Maelstrom that you generate from Ice Fury. Your 2 stacks of Lava Burst are now up too. So you had a entirely different way of approaching this, but the optimal way would have been to get out that Flame Shock first. Because now you're at 3 seconds on the duration of this. You have no your Ice Fury is not on cooldown, but you do have Elemental Focus buffing it. So I hope you Flame Shock here, yes. But I also want to say that you got rid of this Earthquake without an Earth and Strength buff. So in this situation, you wouldn't have to use GCDs on Flame Shock here. Your Elemental Blast would have already been on cooldown, and your Ice Fury would have been on cooldown too. You would have been casting Lava Burst instead to try and fish for not only Power of the Maelstrom stacks, but also getting the buff of Earth and Strength to buff your Earthquake. Instead, you got rid of your Earthquake. You had no Maelstrom anyway, so the reason for that shouldn't have happened. You need to be putting your stuff on cooldown. You popped your Earthquake too early, which made you Elemental Blast, and then you casted 2 Lava Bursts back to back. Was that an instant cast Lava Burst? It totally was. So you wasted an Earth and Strength buff. And your Ice Fury is still on cooldown. Or still not on cooldown, my bad. So yeah, this entire situation could have like gone more optimally. But that's what this is about. This is about coaching, right? We're trying to allow you to figure out exactly what you should have done in this situation instead. Fantastic. Okay, in this clutch situation, this could have been avoided too, just saying. This would have been avoided, but you used your Frost Shocks effectively here. Even though you did your rotation earlier wrong, in this situation, when you had very few seconds left on the duration of your 3 stacks of Frost Shocks, it's better that you got rid of them for sure without running the timer out and losing stacks of damage. So I'm really glad that you did that instead. It's a good job for there. Lightning bolts. This build is so full on, it's crazy. Yeah, it is. It's a crazy build. It's a very crazy build, and I'm very glad that we're doing okay. I'm really glad that we're doing this video because it's so informational on so many levels. It's helping the TMW getting more up to date. It's helping people understand Frostquake a lot more. It's the hardest I've ever tried. Yeah, it's literally the hardest build out there. It's so conditional, it's crazy. But it works. It works if you do it perfectly. But you just gotta learn how to do it perfectly, and it works. I'm not perfect. I mess up the rotation all the time. But, you know, my mistakes are a lot fewer than maybe other people trying to do it. You should have Elemental Blasted there before the Lava Burst. Like, you had 1 stack of Lava Burst. I would have Elemental Blasted before you did this Lava Burst. So, I should start to listen to my TMW more. Yeah, like, your TMW is like screaming at you to cast Elemental Blast, and then you're just like, nah, I'm gonna cast Lava Burst, like, all nonchalant, like, wait, what the you just waste another Earthshock proc? Or Earthquake? Okay. So... Why? Why did you Earthshock here? You had... Okay. Stop! Elemental Blast instead of Lava Burst here, then Lava Burst to get your Earth and Strength buff. Wait. No, because you have Max Maelstrom. What the fuck happened? Look at how much Maelstrom you have. Oh, you got a Boots proc. That totally fucked you over. Okay. I totally understand. So in this situation, you got a Boots proc, right? That... You know, you're just ignoring your Elemental Blast the entire time. You could have been doing way more damage on your Earthshocks here. Like... Stop ignoring your TMW for this situation. Like, Elemental Blast is so important. It's so important. Yeah, Kurgs, the tell me when is going to be in the bottom of, or in the description of this video. So if you guys want a more up-to-date tell me when, then this one, we're going to be putting it in the bottom of this coaching video, okay? Because it's so very important. And then we're also going to be doing a video on itself. We're going to be doing another video for the Tell Me When that I'm going to be working together with Noeasgaard. So, yes, the community is getting this. Don't you worry. It's screaming at you to do Ellie Blast. Let's move on, though. Like, you Earthshocked here instead of putting down your Earthquake, which... Okay, look. You Earthshock here, and you have Elemental or Earth Enrage buffing your Earthquake. You still decide to do another Earthshock for no reason. What if that refreshed your Earthquake? You would have lost that Earthquake anyway. You still should have been casting Elemental Blast before any of this shit happened, but you're just wasting potential. You're wasting potential here. Okay, I'm gonna stop here too. You don't need a lightning bolt here as a filler for travel time. You have stacks of what is it? You have stacks of frost shocks. Okay, your maelstrom, your lava burst gives you 12 maelstrom. Keep that in mind. So at this moment, you have 8 maelstrom on you. What's 8 plus 12? That's 20. That's enough for a frost shock for travel time, right? But instead, you lightning bolt. I don't know why. So that's, I understand probably because of the condition of your current maelstrom level, it's telling you to lightning bolt instead of frost shock, but you're casting a lava burst, which gives you maelstrom. So you don't need to use this lightning bolt after. Instead, you could have used one stack and had one stack less to worry about on your frost shocks, right? And then still would have had the earth enrage from the travel time of this lava burst to buff your earthquake. So yeah, you didn't need to use that lightning bolt there. You would have had enough maelstrom to cast a single frost shock. Pay attention to your maelstrom levels. Don't solely rely on this TMW. In that situation, you shouldn't have totally relied on it. Elemental Blast coming off cooldown. That's good. Yes! Finally! You're putting your shit on cooldown. You're finally putting your shit on cooldown. This is fantastic. So before you even put the Earthquake down, you're actually putting your Ice Fury on cooldown, which is great. Oh, I'm so happy for that. And then you put your Earthquake down, and then you start using... Wait, what was that? Earth Shocks? Flame Shock Refresh. Okay. Lightning Bolt to gain Maelstrom. In this situation, I totally agree with this, but... I don't know, like, I'm going to look at my Stormkeeper timer, and I'm going to look at my Power of the Maelstrom that I have, and I'm going to be like, huh. I kind of want to wait for that, because that's a really juicy combination, of course, right? So even though, yes, it's at 7 seconds, you have 40 Maelstrom right now. 40 because I'm going to include the Totem Mastery giving you 1 Maelstrom by the time you use your first Frost Shock here. Which is enough for 2 Frost Shocks, which is enough GCD time for your Lava Burst to come off cooldown, and then casting your Lava Burst is enough GCD time for you to cast your Elemental Blast, and then by then your Stormkeeper's off cooldown, you have 3 stacks of Power of the Maelstrom. You're fucking good to go. I don't like that you're doing this instead. This is extremely advanced play that I'm talking about here and cooldown management. So you could be like, fuck you, Barok, that's really hard to do. And I'm not thinking about that because I'm not a fucking professional Frostquake player, but I'm just letting you know what I see right now and what you could have done instead. It's possible, yes, that you didn't think about it like that, but I'm just letting you know that it was possible in my eyes and this would have worked out perfectly. So you see, by the time your Lava Burst comes off cooldown, you have 5 seconds left on your Stormkeeper. You have 3 seconds left on your Elemental Blast. Yeah, your TMW right now is telling you to use Frost Shock instead, but you're using Lightning Bolt. I mean, it was a very split-second decision. At that point, you should have paid attention to your Maelstrom and not your TMW. Because after this, it is telling you to cast Lightning Bolt because you don't have Power of the Maelstrom. Right? So it's like, okay, filler spell. I don't have enough Maelstrom to cast Frost Shock, so I'm going to cast Lightning Bolt, right? But again, this is another situation where your TMW isn't taking into account that this Lava Burst is going to give you enough Maelstrom to cast a Frost Shock, right? So it's telling you, hey, you don't have enough Maelstrom to cast this Frost Shock, so use Lightning Bolt instead. But because you get a Power of the Maelstrom off of this Lava Burst, it's telling you, oh shit, look, you have so little seconds left on your Stormkeeper. Use Frost Shock here instead because you have enough Maelstrom, right? So it's like the TMW isn't perfect. I understand that. It's not taking into account Maelstrom values of the spell you're currently casting, so that needs to be fixed. If you can fix that, Noeasgaard, fix it, because it's going to actually help out a lot with cooldown management, stack management, Maelstrom management, obviously. So I just want, like, because I saw it, and I'm going to show you guys that those timers actually line up. So here, you casted a Lightning Bolt instead of the Frost Shock, but then you use Frost Shock right after the Lightning Bolt. So you have 3 stacks here. Let's pretend that you didn't cast that Lightning Bolt and you use Frost Shock instead. You have 3 stacks here. Second cast of Frost Shock goes out. Lava Burst is coming off cooldown. I would have casted that. Yeah. But you had enough Maelstrom to cast a, what is it? A Frost Shock. So the GCD timer was like half a second off. Unfortunately, I calculated it half a second off from what real time was, but that's okay. Half a second for you to have a additional stack of Power of the Maelstrom it's a DPS increase in my mind. I'm pretty sure there's a DPS increase in reality too. So casting this Lava Burst here, then Elemental Blast, then Stormkeeper. You see how I saw that? And it actually worked out. You even used a Frost Shock in between, which you could have done this again anyway. Wow. You would have had enough Maelstrom to cast a 3rd Frost Shock after this Lava Burst in the situation that I told you before. And then the Elemental Blast, and then the Lightning, and then the Stormkeeper comes off cooldown, and then you have 3 stacks of Power of the Maelstrom, and you still have 1 stack of Frost Shock, so you can use the Maelstrom value that you gain from Power of the Maelstrom and Stormkeeper to give you enough Maelstrom to get rid of that last Frost Shock stack, and then that situation is just so much better. And then you wouldn't have had to fish for more Power of the Maelstrom cast here. You know what I mean? So all 3 of those Lightning Bolts would have had Power of the Maelstrom buffing it. But that's just the way that I think, right? Because I don't know, like I guess I have those situations in my mind a lot more. In this situation here, you cast Lava Burst before Ice Fury. I don't think that's good. Your stuff. I said Ice Fury, and my phone across the room is like, I'm Siri. Hello. Yeah, I don't like that you did that because... Oh, phone's going off. Yeah, because you're wasting time on your cooldowns again. Those need to be on cooldown, like, right away. What is this? I can't turn it off. I'm recording right now. So, in this situation, your Lava Burst would have been off cooldown, right? And then you can cast 2 back-to-back Lava Bursts and cast 2 Frost Shocks to empower those Lava Bursts, but you get a proc here for your Earthquake. That's fine. Right when you cast this Lava Burst, though. Jesus, where is it? It's Elemental Blast, into a lava burst. Look, you're wasting stacks of earth and strength. You have 3 stacks of frost shock here, and then you just cast a lava burst because it's instant, right? Pay attention to your earth and strength procs. Well, they're not really procs because they're guaranteed to happen. You have so much wasted damage here on your frost shocks. So, yeah, in this situation, weave in your frost shocks. Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten that earthquake there, but you have 5 seconds left on 3 stacks of your frost shocks, and then you didn't even use them with earth and strength, so and you cast 2 lava bursts back to back here. This is another situation that I wouldn't have done here. So you have lava burst that gives you a lava surge, right? And you have 3 stacks of whatever frost shock here. After this lava burst, between the travel time of this lava burst that you're casting to give you the earth and strength to buff this earthquake, cast a frost shock instead. Like in this situation, I mean, this wouldn't have happened if you did what I said before, but in this situation, you just wasted another stack of earth and strength because you decided to cast lava burst back to back. And then you still have 3 stacks of frost shock. You're going to go put down this earthquake, and then all 3 of these stacks of frost shocks are going to go unbuffed. Actually, you just wasted a proc. You just wasted a stack there. Why did you waste a stack? Oh, you casted fire elemental instead. You're only going to get 2 fire elementals on a fight, remember? So, usually 2. Argus, you get 3 because it's such a long fight. I don't like that you use the GCD here to cast your fire elemental instead of getting rid of that last stack of frost shock. Like, you did do the frost shock, yes. But look, the frost shock wasn't buffed by Ice Fury. It didn't get buffed by Ice Fury, so you actually did lose the stack. If it was buffed by Ice Fury, it would have hit for over 1 million. So, yeah. Keep that in mind in that very specific situation. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, here's another situation where GCDs and CDs are lining up together. We're going to go back just a little bit. Just a little bit. You see here that after you're casting this lava burst, your elemental blast is coming off cooldown. Okay. Your ice fury is coming off cooldown, and then you have 10 seconds on your stormkeeper. So by the time it takes you to cast this lava burst, elemental blast is off cooldown. You should have been using this here. Instead, you're casting lightning bolt, and look, you have more power than Maelstrom. Oh my god. You're wasting more stacks here, man. This is the same situation that we went over before. Here's what I would have done. Elemental Blast into a Ice Fury and start using my Frost Shocks to buy the time for the Stormkeeper to come off cooldown, okay? You have more than enough Maelstrom to do that. Instead, you cast a Lightning Bolt here into an Elemental Blast, into an Ice Fury, probably into a Lava Burst, then you Stormkeeper, and then you start using your Frost Shocks and all your Stormkeeper shocks, or all your Stormkeeper stacks. Wait. No, you decide to use another Dude! Oh my god. Dude, use your Maelstrom on the Frost Shocks. Use your damn Maelstrom on the Frost Shock. Or even Earth... or no. Because you're trying to buy time for Stormkeeper with GCDs. So use your dang Maelstrom on the Frost Shocks to buy time for the Lava Burst and Stormkeeper so that you have 3 stacks of Power of the Maelstrom for the Stormkeeper. Listen to your damn TMVs sometimes. TMW. Yeah. I mean, in this case, I wouldn't have Earthshocked here because I'm still trying to buy time for Stormkeeper with the stacks of Power of the Maelstrom. So, but I mean, you wouldn't have gotten that Earthquake proc, I guess. Oh, and then you just lost 2 stacks of Frost Shock. Of Frost. Yeah, 2 stacks of Ice Fury. So, if you did what I said there, that wouldn't have happened. You would have had 3 stacks of Power of the Maelstrom for your Stormkeeper. You probably wouldn't have gotten that Earthquake there, but you still would have gotten more damage out in order to make up for that. So, I'm gonna count that as a fail, unfortunately. Ooh, Boots proc, Elemental Blast into an Earth Shock. Yeah, did that right. Frost Shock. Ooh. Okay, what'd you do? Let me see. What did you do here instead? You Ice Fury into a Lava Burst. Okay. Alright, that's fine. You have high enough Maelstrom to do that. You're just casting Ice Fury, so you have max countdown for your 4 Frost Shocks. That's fine. I actually would have done this here too. I would have Earth Shocked instead of using my 4 Frost Shocks in this situation. That's great. So now you got a Boots proc. Your Earthquake has an Elemental or a Earth and Rage proc buffing it. Did you miss the target? Damn, missed it, dude. Oh, I think it's actually still hitting it, maybe. I think it actually is still hitting the target. Yeah, it's got to be still hitting it. Maybe you actually didn't miss it. So yeah, what you did there is right because you still have plenty of time to get rid of these stacks. So I can appreciate the Maelstrom management there with using Earthshock instead. So good job. You got rid of all 4 of those stacks in a timely manner. I'm proud of you for that. Good job. A lot of other people would have been like, what do I do? All right. Well, you know what? This has been a very long workshop, but I'm very happy that we did it. If you guys are interested in getting the Tell Me When script from Noeasgaard, he's going to give it to me. I'm going to put it in the bottom of the video description down below so you guys can go and check that out and see if it works for you. It's very detailed. Excuse me, the amount of like conditions that he has in this thing is very impressive. Not only that, but it works for other builds. So Ascendance Gambling, you can even get it for, I believe it has an enhance setting on it too, and Lightning Rod, right? So like the thing is very, very well done. I'm extremely impressed with Noeasgaard for doing that. All the props goes towards him for that. If you guys want to see more Elemental Shaman content, definitely slap that subscribe button, hit the bell notification to be part of the notification squad. All right, when I release new content. This weekend's crazy because I'm releasing like 5 videos in one day. But also, if you want to check me out on my social medias, Twitter and Instagram, those will be in the description down below. And come check me out live at twitch.tv at Barokoshama, twitch.tv thingy. Yeah, the links to all those will be in the description down below. Holy moly, this was a crazy video. Thank you so much, Noeasgaard, for submitting the very first Frostquake guide or Frostquake coaching video / Roastshop / workshop thingy. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Tune in next time when I release more content. And until next time, keep calm and Maelstrom on. Bye-bye.